Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatamvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome all the devotees for this weekly class connected to the Sion program. So instead of taking the regular topic of the third canto Srimad Bhagavatam, since yesterday was Radhashtami, I'll try to speak something in relation to Radhashtami. At the end, some devotees want to share anything, they want to ask some questions, they can share. So, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was having a conversation with Venkata Bhatta in Srirangam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, why was Lakshmi Devi not allowed entrance in Rasa Leela? Venkata Bhatta replied, Ami Jiva Kshudra Buddhi Sahaje Astira Ishwarera Leela Koti Samudra Gambira. He said, Ami Jiva, I am an ordinary living being. I am possessing Kshudra Buddhi, limited intelligence. And Sahaje Astira, I easily get agitated by different things. I am a jiva 1/10,000 of a tip of a hair, having a limited intelligence and easily get agitated by the three modes. Ishwarera Leela Koti Samudra Gambira. On the other hand, the pastimes of the Supreme Lord are as deep as millions of oceans, crores of oceans. So they are as deep as the crores of ocean. So how can I understand the pastimes of the Supreme Lord? Why Lakshmi Devi was not allowed entrance into Ras Leela? This is the reply of Venkata Bhatta to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the pastimes of the Lord and are very deep like a ocean. How can one know about the depth of the ocean? So there are trained divers who dive into the depth of the ocean, and they measure the depth of the ocean and they tell us. Similarly, we can understand the depth of the ocean of Krishna Katha through the acharyas. The acharyas are like a divers, in the ocean of Krishna Katha, and they can actually tell us about the depth of the Krishna Katha. So a tiny little jiva has a false ego, and our intelligence is so insignificant. But so therefore, a living entity, a tiny jiva, can hardly enter into the depth of the ocean of the Lord's pastimes. What to speak of even in the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, there are various levels of the Lord's pastimes. The one is the creation pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Another is the pastimes of the Lord in relation to the pastimes of the amazing pastimes of the different incarnations of the Lord, like Varaha Avatara, Matsya Avatara, Kurma Avatara. When the Lord takes the forms of the different animals, the Lord performs different pastimes. These are amazing pastimes. This is the next level of pastimes above the creation pastimes. And above the pastimes of these avatars, amazing pastimes of the amazing avatars of the Lord are the pastimes of the Lord in his human incarnations, like Vamana Dev, Parashuram, Lord Ram, and Lord Krishna. And among the pastimes of the Lord in the human form, the topmost is the pastimes of the Lord in the form as Krishna, or we can see in the form as Ram and Krishna. Out of that, the pastimes of Krishna are even more confidential. And the Krishna also performed so many pastimes in Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwaraka. Out of that, the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, they are the most confidential. And in Vrindavan, Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, and in particular Srimati Radharani, they are considered to be the most confidential. So in one sense, like we as tiny living entities, it is very difficult to enter into the depth of these pastimes. But nevertheless, on the occasion of Radhashtami, on the occasion of Sharat Purnima, Gaur Purnima, it is important to understand the Radha Tattva. If devotees, if we don't speak on Srimati Radharani on these occasions, then who will speak actually? So, so Krishna's internal potency has got three aspects: Sandhini Shakti, Samvit Shakti, and Hladini Shakti. Hladini, Sandhini, Samvit, Tvayeka, Sarva Samstitau, Hlada Tapa Kari Mishra, Tvayino Gunavarjite. The three attributes, Hladini, Sandhini, and Samvit, exist in you as one spiritual energy. The material modes which cause happiness, misery, and mixture of the two do not exist in you because you have no material qualities. So Sandhini, Samvit, and Hladini, they are progressively superior. Sandhini is contained within Samvit. Samvit is contained within Hladini. So Hladini Shakti is considered to be the most essential part of Krishna's Swarupa Shakti, eternal energy. So the potency by which the Lord sustains his own existence and bestows existence upon others, and which pervades all time, place, objects, and so on. This potency is called Sandhini potency. And although the Lord is the embodiment of cognition, the potency by which he knows and induces others to know is called as Samvit Shakti. And although the Lord is the embodiment of bliss, which is the although is the embodiment of the bliss, the energy by which he experiences delight and he causes others to experience delight, that energy is called as Hladini Shakti. So Hladini Shakti is the bliss-giving potency to the Supreme Lord. A simple example can give an understanding of Sandhini, Samvit, and Hladini. So suppose a person buys some very good latest car. Every now and then some news comes that this particular celebrity bought this version of the Maybach car or something like that, different models of the car. This person bought the Rolls Royce. So there is suppose a person buys a very expensive car. So there is a satisfaction from buying and owning the car. And then there is a and then after owning the car, after buying and owning a car, there's a certain level of satisfaction. But even higher satisfaction comes from learning how to use the car. And then even higher satisfaction comes from actually going on a ride to the countryside using that car. So these are three levels of satisfaction. So the satisfaction from Sandhini Shakti can be compared to the satisfaction from buying and owning the car. Sandhini Shakti is like the existential potency. The satisfaction from Samvit Shakti can be compared to the satisfaction from knowing how to use the car. And then satisfaction from Hladini Shakti, the satisfaction a person gets from actually going on a ride to the countryside. Or another example can be, suppose a person gets a satisfaction from owning a farm. He owns a farm, agricultural land. And then even higher satisfaction comes from learning how to grow the vegetables in the farm. Learning how to grow the vegetables in the farm. And then even higher satisfaction comes from learning how to cook those vegetables. And even higher satisfaction comes from eating the cooked food. Of course, here I mentioned 4 levels of satisfaction, but of course, we have 3 levels, Sandhini, Samvit, and Hladini. But we can at least understand the gradations. So, gradations of the different levels of satisfaction. So, Sandhini, Samvit, and Hladini. Therefore, in Hladini Shakti, Krishna gets the highest bliss. The bliss obtained from Hladini Shakti is higher than the bliss from the Samvita Shakti, which is higher than the bliss obtained from Sandhini Shakti. So, Hladini Shakti is the Krishna's aspect of bliss. Sandhini Shakti is of eternal existence. Samvita Shakti is of cognizance. And these 3 energies, they are always united as the constituents of one whole. But yet, to fulfill Krishna's desires for pleasure, each one of them dominates the one whole, the Swarupa Shakti, to achieve different effects. So the personification of Sandhini Shakti is Yogamaya. The personification of Samvita Shakti is Balaram. And the personification of Hladini Shakti is Srimati Radharani. So Srimati Radharani is called as Mahabhava Swarupini, the embodiment of Mahabhava, which is the highest stage of love for Krishna. And she is the source of the transcendental bliss for Krishna and the example for all his associates. And she is the personification of Hladini Shakti. And as I mentioned, Yogamaya is the personification of Sandhini Shakti. Some places she is mentioned as the personification of Samvita Shakti. Some places she is mentioned as Sandhini Shakti. But anyway, the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests all his forms through the agency of the Yogamaya potency. And she is the origin of all the rasas and their ensuing bhavas. And she arranges for Krishna's loving pastimes, like attracting the gopis by his flute playing, his herding the cows. And Balaramji, who is the fountainhead of all the strength, he is the personification of Samvita Shakti, and he is also the source of the land, water, villages, forests, hills like Govardhan, the different pastime places. He is the source of the, say, Mridanga, Kartal, and all the other different instruments which are used in the service of Krishna. The source of the different paraphernalia engaged in the service of Krishna. So, and out of these 3, Sandhini, Samvit, and Hladini, none of these 3 potencies exist independent of the others. But because the entire spiritual world, including all the associates and the innumerable pastimes, all these things happen, all the associates exist only for Krishna's pleasure. Therefore, Jiva Goswami says that out of the 3 potencies, Hladini potency is the most important. So, Hare Krishna. The participants can actually keep themselves muted, and then when we have the discussion, that time will open up. So, this is something about, in brief, about the 3 aspects of Krishna's internal energy, Sandhini, Samvit, and Hladini. So there is a very beautiful verse which comes in the Gautamiya Tantra, which describes Srimati Radharani. Sometimes people ask that what is the reference for Srimati Radharani, Vedic reference? I remember that maybe around 20 years back, approximately. So one advocate in Chennai, under whom my father learned law practice when he was very young. So this advocate is a Sri Vaishnava. Once when I was going to my hometown, when I was going through Chennai, so I went to meet him because since a long time, from my childhood, we know him. So when I went to meet him, that time he asked a question that where is it mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam about Srimati Radharani? What is the Shastric reference for Srimati Radharani in the Bhagavatam? That was the question he asked. At that time, I think more than 20 years back, I didn't have many scriptural references at that time. Was reading the books and then attending the classes in the college. Something we have heard, what I heard in the classes. But of course, he was an elderly person. He was 75 plus or 70 plus. And I was a very young person. We had, of course, cordial conversation, but I couldn't give much Shastric reference. So, but thinking on this lines, thinking in answer to what he asked at that time, seeing Srimati Radharani in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So before we go into that, this verse comes in the Gautamiya Tantra, which describes Srimati Radharani. Devi Krishna Mayi Prokta Radhika Paradevata Sarva Lakshmi Mayi Sarva Kanti Samohini Para. The transcendental goddess Srimati Radharani is the direct counterpart of Lord Sri Krishna. And she is the central figure for all the goddesses of fortune. Sarva Lakshmi Mayi Sarva Kanti Sammohini Para. And she possesses all the attractiveness to attract the all-attractive personality of Godhead. And she is the primeval internal potency of the Lord. So in this verse, we'll try to discuss this particular word, Devi Krishna Mayi. Krishna Mayi, that means Srimati Radharani's whole existence is filled with Krishna, or her whole consciousness is filled with Krishna. So when we add the word Maya, Maya means like the person's existence is filled with that object. Krishna Mayi means her whole consciousness is filled with Krishna. Means like in every situation she sees Krishna. So this is the vision of Srimati Radharani, Krishna Mayi Prokta. And this vision of Srimati Radharani is our hope. Our hope for actually advancing is this vision of Srimati Radharani. Because Srimati Radharani has this vision of trying to see Krishna everywhere, has a vision of seeing the sincerity in every person. And that is our hope, because on our own, our sincerity is very less. But because Srimati Radharani has that capacity to see the sincerity even in those places where there is none, and that vision is our hope. So once one devotee, one man came to His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, and at that time there was some Bhagavad Sapta which was happening near our temple by one leader from Gaudiya Sampradaya. And that leader is known for very good classes, very senior Vaishnava sannyasi. So this follower of that particular leader came to Radhanath Maharaj. See, my guru is just giving very high philosophy. You might very esoteric pastimes and high philosophy just near the corner in the Prempuri ashram. And you please come and attend those lectures that he asked. He said, you would never hear such classes anywhere in ISKCON. You come and actually attend those classes. And Maharaj said, replied to him, I am a very practical person. I see the extent of a person's advancement by how much he can see Krishna everywhere. So this ability to see Krishna everywhere, this ability is the vision of Srimati Radharani. That is the quality called as Krishna Mayi. So if after studying many esoteric books, after hearing many deep philosophy, topics of rasa, etc. But if we think that I have a better guru, or I am more learned, or you have a lesser guru, or I am higher than you. If we think like that, then we have actually lost the point. That means like we have not even, but the purpose of studying all the shastras or different this thing, ultimately to imbibe the capacity to see Krishna everywhere. But at the end, if we actually think, oh, I am better than this person, or because of this ability, or this person is inferior to me, or I have a better guru, this person has a lower guru, I am connected to here. So if we think in this way, that means we have not actually developed the quality of trying to see Krishna everywhere. And developing this quality of seeing Krishna everywhere, and that is the that is what it means to be the follower of Srimati Radharani, because that is her quality of Krishna Mayi. So if we see this particular quality of Krishna Mayi, how this quality comes is exhibited by different devotees throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam. In that way, we can see the presence of Srimati Radharani throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam. Right at the first canto, when Parishit Maharaj was faced with Kali, the sages are saying that Nanudveshti Kalim Samrat Saranga Iva Sarabuk Kushalanyashu Siddhyanti Netarani Kritani Yat. Kali Yuga is a ocean of faults, but Parishit Maharaj saw the because he was focused on the essence, even in that ocean of faults, he saw the good quality of Kali Yuga. If somebody, like, we may have difficulty, somebody may have 10 good qualities and 10 faults, we tend to focus on the 10 faults. We tend to neglect the 10 good qualities. Or somebody may have, say, 15 good qualities and 4 faults, and we tend to focus on the faults. But if somebody has ocean of faults and 1 good quality, and to focus and remember that 1 good quality, that requires the vision of Krishna Mayi. That requires the blessing of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, we can see the presence of Srimati Radharani when Parishit Maharaj exhibited this quality of actually seeing the essence are the one good quality in Kali Yuga. When Parishit Maharaj saw that, that we can so the Srimati Radharani in the first canto. When Parishit Maharaj was cursed by Shringi, Parishit Maharaj's response was that Tasyaiva me Agastya Paravaresho Vyasakta Chittasya Griheshvabikshnam Nirveda Moolam Dvijashapa Rupo Yatra Prasakto Vayamashu Datte. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has kindly overtaken me in the form of this curse of the Brahmana. Krishna has come in the form of this curse in order to make me detached from the family life. So Parishit Maharaj, it is such a severe punishment, severe curse for a small mistake done by him. But even that, actually, to see that curse to die within 7 days, to see that as actually personally Krishna has come in that form of that curse, it is easy to see Krishna, say, in the deity. It is easy to see Krishna when there is a kirtan. It is easy to see Krishna within the temple. It's easy to see Krishna when you see a devotee or when you read the books. But to see Krishna where a person is having ocean of faults, to see Krishna in such a worst situation in the form of the curse, the sudden curse to die within 7 days. To see Krishna even in those situations, that actually requires the real blessing of Srimati Radharani, that requires actually the Mahabhagavata vision of focusing on the essence. Therefore, when Parishit Maharaj gave this reply, when he heard the curse of Shringi, we can see the blessing of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, Srimati Radharani is present in the first canto in Parishit Maharaj's exhibition of this quality. In the third canto, when Uddhava is actually remembering Krishna, in one verse, Uddhava says that Manye Asuran Bhagavatam Sradeshe Samramba Marga Abhinivishta Chittan Ye Samyuge Achakshata Tarksha Putram Amse Sunaba Yudamapatantam. He says that I consider the demons who are inimical towards the Lord to be more than the devotees, or to be better than the devotees like me. Because these demons have such a great absorption in enmity towards Krishna that they are able to see the Lord carried on the shoulder of Garuda. So he's saying that these demons are better than me because of the quality of absorption. So Uddhava, because of his vision of wanting to see Krishna, he was able to appreciate even the demons. And this quality is the quality of Srimati Radharani, Krishna Mayi Prokta. In the fourth canto, when Sati was actually speaking to Daksha Prajapati, Sati tells about the quality of Lord Shiva, Doshan Paresham hi Guneshu Sadavo Grishnanti Kechin na Bhavadrusho Dvija Gunamsya Falgun Bahuli Karishnavo Mahattamastesh Avidat Bhavanagam. So a man like you, she's addressing Daksha, a man like you can simply find fault in the qualities of others. But Lord Shiva, however, not only finds no faults with others' qualities, but if someone has a little good quality, he magnifies it greatly. But you have found fault with such a great soul. So Lord Shiva's quality is Gunamscha Falgun Bahuli Karishnavo. If someone has a little good quality, he magnifies it greatly. And this quality is the same quality of Srimati Radharani, that is Devi Krishna Mayi Prokta. Therefore, we can see the presence of Srimati Radharani in this verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, where Lord Shiva's this particular quality is described. When Prahlad Maharaj was being described by Narada Muni, the 7th canto, Prahlad Maharaj, it said that Nyashta Kridanako Balo Jadavat Tan Manastaya Krishna Graha Grihitatma Naveda Jagadidrisham. Prahlad Maharaj was uninterested in the childish sports and Jadavat Tan Manastaya. He was he gave up all the sports and he was like a dull and a silent person. Krishna Graha Grihitatma. He was fully absorbed in Krishna. So this phrase Krishna Graha Grihitatma, he was fully absorbed in Krishna, because only a person who is fully absorbed in Krishna can see the presence of Krishna in every situation. And this quality of Krishna Graha Grihitatma is the same as the quality of Krishna Mayi. Therefore, we can see how Prahlad Maharaj is blessed by Srimati Radharani. Because Srimati Radharani is the source of this quality. And the Prahlad Maharaj, Srimati Radharani's blessing on Prahlad Maharaj is seen in this verse. And the same Prahlad Maharaj, in the conclusion of his teachings to his classmates, he explains, Yetavan eva lokesmin pumsa swartha parasmritaha ekanta bhaktir govinde yat sarvatra tadikshanam. In the material world, to render service to the lotus feet of Govinda, the cause of all causes, and to see him everywhere is the only goal of life. And this much alone is the ultimate goal of human life. So he's saying that to see Krishna everywhere is the ultimate goal or the highest goal of human life. In other words, what Prahlad Maharaj is saying, that to become the follower of Srimati Radharani is the ultimate goal of life. Because this quality of seeing Krishna everywhere, the source of this quality is Srimati Radharani, who is called as Devi Krishna Mayi. So in one sense, Prahlad Maharaj is telling us to become the follower of Srimati Radharani. And when Narada Muni, the 7th canto, when Narada Muni is speaking about Shishupal, he says, Yata Vairanu Bandena Martyastan Mayatam Yat Na Tata Bhakti Yogena Itime Nishchita Matihi. By devotional service, one cannot achieve such intense absorption in thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as one can achieve through enmity towards him. So Narada Muni is appreciating the absorption of the demons like Shishupal. It is explained that the Shishupal's absorption in Krishna out of enmity is as inconceivable as the gopis' absorption in Krishna. So Narada Muni is saying that, like, by Vaidhi Bhakti, I cannot achieve such absorption like the Shishupal as achieved in Krishna. So here also Narada Muni is to appreciate this quality in a demon like Shishupal, that requires the ability of Krishna Mayi, seeing Krishna everywhere. And in this particular purport, the 7th canto, 1st chapter, Prabhupada says that a pure devotee always thinks himself more deficient than everybody else. Because here Narada Muni is thinking himself to be more deficient than Shishupal. And this particular quality, the origin of this quality is Srimati Radharani. If a devotee approaches Srimati Radharani to offer some service to Krishna, even Srimati Radharani thinks that the devotee is greater than she. Therefore, Narada Muni says that according to his opinion, the enemies of Krishna are better situated because they are fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna in terms of killing him. just as a very lusty man always thinks of women and their association. So here, Narada Muni, we can see the presence of Srimati Radharani's blessing on Narada Muni, the 7th canto, first chapter. And when Prithu Maharaj is actually offering prayers to the Lord Vishnu told Prithu Maharaj, I am so captivated by your wonderful behavior that I am so pleased with you that I want to give you some benediction. Please ask some benediction. That time Prithu Maharaj speaks a series of prayers and he concludes with this prayer. In this concluding prayer, he says, my dear Lord, because of your illusory energy, all the living beings in this world have forgotten their constitutional position. And out of ignorance, they are always desirous of material happiness in the form of society, friendship, and love. Therefore, please do not ask me to take some material benefits from you. Just like a father understands what is best for the child, similarly, you decide what is best for me since I am your child. And you may bestow upon me whatever you think as best for me. And you don't even have to ask your opinion, ask my opinion after choosing some benediction. I have chosen this benediction. Is this all right with you? Is it agreeable to you? You don't even ask my confirmation. So when Prithu Maharaj spoke this verse, this particular verse shows Prithu Maharaj's complete trust in the Lord. Because when you trust a person, you understand that this person knows what is best for me, and whatever he chooses, I will accept it. And this quality of trust, complete trust in the Lord, this quality of trust is exhibited to the highest degree by Srimati Radharani in the last verse of Shikshashtaka. Ashklishya va padaratam pinastuma. So therefore, we can see Srimati Radharani's quality being exhibited by Prithu Maharaj in the 4th canto. And in the 6th canto, we see the story of Vritrasur comes. Vritrasur's story comes in the Rig Veda, Mahabharata, many other Puranas. But what is the speciality of the Vritrasur story in the Bhagavatam? In the Bhagavatam, Vritrasur is presented as the hero, whereas in the other places, Vritrasur is presented as a demon. He fought against the Devatas. But how come Bhagavatam presents Vritrasur as a great devotee, as the Mahabhagavata? So the term Uttama villain will fit for Vritrasur. He was like a villain because he was fighting against the Devatas. But he was a Uttama Bhakta, a Mahabhagavata Bhakta. Therefore, he can say he's Uttama villain. So Bhagavatam is presenting Vritrasur as the hero, as a great devotee, because Bhagavatam is focusing on the essence of Vritrasur's personality. And that is the vision of Srimati Radharani. Because Bhagavatam is having the vision of Srimati Radharani, therefore the Bhagavatam is presenting Vritrasur as the great Mahajana, or a great devotee. Whereas the other books, they don't have the vision of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, in the other books, Vritrasur is portrayed as the demon. So therefore, we can see Bhagavatam's, because Bhagavatam is mentioned as that book in which the story of Vritrasur is present. In which the story of Vritrasur presented as a great hero. And Vritrasur in his prayer, he says that Nanaka Prishtam Nacha Parameshtyam Na Sarvabhaumam Na Rasadhipatyam Nayoga Siddhir Apunar Bhavamva Samanjasatva Virahaya Kankshe. Oh my Lord, you are the source of all the opportunities. But I do not desire dominion over the Satyaloka or Brahmaloka or Dhruvaloka or over the lower planetary systems. I do not desire the mystic siddhis or liberation. And this quality is coming from Srimati Radharani, who spoke this verse in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundari, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. So in this way, we find that in one sense, Srimati Radharani is present throughout the Bhagavatam when all these devotees exhibit these qualities. So, from a technical point of view, Srimati Radharani is mentioned only indirectly in the Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto Rasa Panchadhyaya. But for a devotee of Radharani, in every canto, Radharani is present. There is no place where the Radharani is not present in the Bhagavatam. So, this I was thinking in relation to what that advocate asked me some years back about what is the reference for Radharani in the Bhagavatam. So here, and we see in the case of Srila Prabhupada, I think mentioned almost in every year Srimati Radhashtami class, whenever I spoke. What is the special actually qualification because of which Prabhupada was successful in his preaching in the West? Once one Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur asked many of his disciples to go to the West and to preach in the English language. One very senior sannyasi, he told Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, I will not be able to preach in the Western countries because I am a little orthodox person. I cannot stand their impurities. So one of the quality of a Brahmana is that when a Brahmana goes to an unclean place, either that uncleanliness in that place will leave immediately, or the Brahmana will leave that place. So he cannot tolerate uncleanliness. So that is the nature of purity. Purity generally, they cannot tolerate impurity. Somebody who is having a certain habits of actually cleanliness, when he goes to an unclean place, he will not stay there, or he will end up cleaning that place. So in the case of Srila Prabhupada, he is a person from Vrindavan Radha Damodar temple. So the mountain of purity, the form of Srila Prabhupada, came in contact with the mountain of impurity in the form of the population in America, in the form of the hippies in America. Like sometimes when Prabhupada would, like before Bowery, he was staying in a place, I think along with David or something. If you have read Prabhupada Leelamrit, in that particular this one, he was staying in, I think, a certain floor, second or third floor or something. And when he would be coming there would be people lying down in the, it is like a chal kind of American version of a chal. People will be lying down, and many of them addicted to drugs. They would take bath once in many weeks or months actually. And they would pass stool, urine also sometimes in the pant, and they would not be aware only because they are in the influence of the drugs. And they would be just lying down, and Prabhupada would have to actually move through them, and then he would go to that place, his residence where he was staying. And he was staying with a person, David, who was actually was also a drug addict. One day he was about to actually come and attack Prabhupada like that. So here is the mountain of purity. He came in contact with the mountain of impurity. According to the principle, purity cannot tolerate impurity. Normally people leave that place. But Prabhupada, he was able to influence them. He was able to make them into devotees. And he himself did not get affected by them. So how Prabhupada was able to do that was that because he was seeing the spark of sincerity in the people whom he came in contact with. And he very carefully fanned that spark of sincerity. When there's a spark of fire, which is surrounded by a mountain of ash, that is what Prabhupada came in contact with. But when you try to locate that spark of fire, it will require a great effort. And then after locating that, when you start fanning that spark, the ash which is surrounding that spark will start flowing everywhere, flying everywhere, and they can actually cover your vision. Your vision get covered by that ashes which are flying everywhere. And then in turn, you may not be able to fan the spark properly. But Prabhupada was not only able to detect that the spark of sincerity, he started fanning that spark, himself not getting affected by their bad habits, himself not getting affected by the ashes which were flying. Himself was not affected by their habits. Many Swamis who went to the West and they ended up taking up the American habits actually. So this ability to see the spark and then fan them, encourage them to become devotees, this is possible of the vision of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, this shows actually Prabhupada is the best devotee of Srimati Radharani. So therefore, like sometimes the Radha Krishna pastimes can be very esoteric. But this vision or the mood of Srimati Radharani of trying to see the spark of sincerity in everyone, this is something, a very relevant lesson for everyone. Because if we can develop this particular vision, whatever extent we can, and this can actually solve many quarrels, many problems, many conflicts. If we can try to develop this quality of actually focusing on the essence. And yeah, going ahead. And if we see, like again, when Krishna came to Hastinapur as a Shanti Dut, that time Vidura told 20 disqualifications of Duryodhana. That you have come here to make a peace proposal with Duryodhana. But do you know what kind of a personality Duryodhana? Duryodhana has these faults, and then Vidura gave a long list of the disqualifications of Duryodhana. And then after telling those disqualifications, Vidura told Krishna, don't even attempt this proposal. He will definitely not listen to your proposal. Because this is the track record of Duryodhana. But Krishna told, I know all these disqualifications of Duryodhana, but still I want to give a chance. I want to give a chance to Duryodhana. So from knowledge point of view, Krishna knew like Duryodhana will definitely not accept his proposal. But there was something which was within his heart which impelled Krishna to give a chance to Duryodhana. And what is that? That is the Hladini potency of Krishna. That is the Srimati Radharani's vision, which actually made Krishna say that I want to give a chance to Duryodhana. So that's why we see both Ram and Krishna gave chance to the best of the demons, Ravana and Duryodhana. So what made, and they did not accept that proposal, peace proposal, both Ravana and Duryodhana. But still, what made them give that chance is the presence of Srimati Radharani in the form of the Hladini potency. So that is why when Rupa Goswami describes one of the quality of Krishna called as compassionate, there he explains that when Krishna saw Bhishma Dev lying on the battlefield, the bed of the arrows, Bhishma was very anxious to see Krishna, and Krishna appeared there. And upon seeing the pitiable condition of Bhishma, Krishna began speaking with the tears in his eyes. Not only was Krishna shedding tears, but he also forgot himself in his compassion. So therefore, instead of offering obeisances to Krishna directly, devotees offer obeisances to the compassionate nature of Krishna. So actually, because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is very difficult to approach him. But the devotees taking advantage of his compassionate nature, which is represented by Radharani, they always pray to Radharani for Krishna's compassion. And in the Skanda Puran, there is a beautiful verse which comes. Atma tu Radhika tasya tavaiva ramana tasau Atma ramataya prajñai prochyate guda vedibihi. So Srimati Radharani is the soul of Krishna, and because he enjoys with her only, therefore the self-realized sages call Krishna as Atma Rama. So this is a unique definition of why Krishna is called as Atma Rama. Because Srimati Radharani is the Atma of Krishna. And since Krishna enjoys only with her only, therefore he is called as Atma Rama, one who takes pleasure in Atma only. And the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Janmat Yasya Yatonvayat Itaratas Chartesh Abhijna Swarat. This verse is explained in many different ways by the Acharyas. The first explanation of this verse is a general explanation how this verse refers to the absolute truth, the source of creation, maintenance, and destruction. Second explanation is that this verse refers to how Krishna directly, Satyam Param Dhimahi, means let us meditate on Krishna, who is known as Satya. In that way, different explanations are there. So one of the explanation of the first verse, Satyam Param Dhimahi, Janmadhyasi Yatonvayat Itaratas Chartesh Abhijna Swarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye Muhyanti Yat Surayah Tejo Vari Mridam Yata Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Damna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. The fourth explanation says that without deceit, in the correct manner, aspiring for the highest goal, let us meditate on Radha and Krishna, from whom arises the height of Madhurya Rasa. And Janmadhyasya, Janma Adi Asya, that means from whom, Janma Adi Asya, from whom arises the Adi Rasa. Adi Rasa is here called as the Madhurya Rasa. Yataha Anvayat Itaratas Chartesh Abhignya Swarat. So Krishna, by giving up the other gopis and following only her as the Dhira Lalita lover, he showed his expertise in the chief aspects of rasa. And she exhibited herself as an independent lover. The word Swarat, which is mentioned in the first verse of the Bhagavatam, according to this explanation, Swarat refers to Radharani, who exhibited her quality as being the independent lover. And Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. What does this line mean? Krishna imparted through the heart of Shukadeva, who is the knower of this rasa from the birth, the Bhagavatam, by which the devotees faint in ecstasy and undergo transformation such as fire, water, and earth, reverse their properties, and by whose influence the three Shaktis remain eternally. So Krishna, in this way, we can see even the first verse is explained as actually as a meditation on Radha and Krishna. So the acharyas, because they can bring out a deep meanings in different verses of the Bhagavatam. And why did Shukdev Goswami not mention the name of Srimati Radharani, or they indicated the name only indirectly? So first reason is for the sake of service. Because he knew that if you would have started, if you had uttered the name of Radharani, if you had started the character of Srimati Radharani, he would have gone into ecstasy, and then he would not have been able to complete his service to Parishit Maharaj. So therefore, for the sake of service, he did not mention. And secondly, because Srimati Radharani's position is very confidential, and the people present in that audience, because they were all not qualified, so therefore Shukdev Goswami mentioned very confidentially. And the third reason is that when a person has a confidential knowledge, one must distribute to at least one person during his lifetime. Suppose if you don't distribute that confidential knowledge to anybody, then you become a Brahma Rakshasa. The scriptures say it's like knowledge is meant for distribution. And Prabhupada says in one purport, because the Indians have failed to perform their duty of distributing the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, and therefore there is problem all over the world. He mentions in some place. So if a person has a confidential knowledge, one is that you can give the confidential knowledge only to the people who have the adhikar. And second is, you have to distribute at least to one person within your lifetime. Otherwise, you will get the reaction for not distributing the knowledge. Therefore, Shukdev Goswami had to hide that confidential knowledge because the qualified person, the unqualified persons were present in the assembly. At the same time, he had to speak that knowledge because that is the principle of knowledge, distribute to others. Therefore, Shukdev Goswami spoke Srimati Radharani indirectly. In that way, he mentioned Radharani. At the same time, because he did not mention directly, explicitly, he is actually saved from the offense of speaking to unqualified people. And another verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita which says that Hladini Karaya Krishna Ananda Aswadana Hladinira Dwara Kare Bhaktera Poshana. So Hladini energy gives pleasure to Krishna and nourishes his devotees. Bhaktera Poshana. nourishes the devotees. So usually in this world, enjoyment causes exploitation. Any person tries to enjoy some other person, he wants to exploit that person. Enjoyment usually causes exploitation. And the people in general, they like the character of Mahavir, Buddha, but nobody imitates the character of Mahavir and Buddha. But there is no joy in that. Have you seen anybody imitating the character of Mahavir, Buddha? There is no joy in imitating them. But people like their character. But in the case of Krishna, people want to imitate the character of Krishna, and they even challenge Krishna. They even challenge Krishna. And enjoyment on the material platform leads to exploitation and selfishness. Enjoyment on the spiritual platform leads to nourishment of others and selflessness towards others. So therefore, Radha Krishna's enjoyment is the hope for the entire world, because Radha Krishna's union that will nourish the entire world, that will nourish the devotees. Therefore, devotees want to bring Radha and Krishna together. So, therefore, Kaviraj Goswami says that Radha Krishna's enjoyment is our nourishment. And Krishna's enjoyment is our only hope for us. So, many times people use God for their enjoyment. So, when people use Krishna for their enjoyment, it is like using Krishna as a cosmic bellboy. Oh, let God actually help me in my sense gratification. So even if we use Krishna to fulfill one of our desires, what to speak of, even if suppose we want to serve Krishna, but if we have even one desire apart from the desire to please Krishna, and if we want to use Krishna for that purpose, it is considered to be the Kaitava Dharma or cheating religion. So therefore, becoming a Vaishnava means, sometimes we may use the term very easily. Becoming a Vaishnava is a very, very grave subject matter. Becoming a Vaishnava means that there is no enjoyment for me. Krishna can use me for any of his enjoyment. And that is what it means to be a Vaishnava. And this concept is foreign to all the religions. And this concept reaches to the highest level in Srimati Radharani. That is, Krishna can use me for any of his purpose, for any of his enjoyment. This reaches the highest level in the Srimati Radharani, and that is what is exhibited by Srimati Radharani, the last verse of the Shikshashtaka, Aslishyava Padaritam Vinashtumam. So in the LKG level of religion, people actually, LKG level of religion, people preach to others. So if you don't accept this particular God, if you don't accept this particular prophet, then you will go to hell to the rest of eternity. Means like the LKG level of religion, fear is used to bring people to follow a particular religion. Especially this is the prominent mood of the Western religions, the Abrahamic religions. But the PhD level of religion is exhibited by the Srimati Radharani and the gopis. Once when Krishna was having a headache, Narada Muni came to Krishna. Narada Muni said, what medicine can we actually give for relieving your headache? Krishna said, there is only one medicine, the dust of the lotus feet of my devotees. And Krishna told Narada Muni, you can approach my devotees and ask for their dust. Narada Muni went to different devotees, nobody was willing to give the dust. And he came and reported to Krishna. And Krishna said, have you tried with the gopis? Can you go and actually ask the gopis? And Narada Muni went to the gopis and told that Krishna is having a headache. The medicine is the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees. That is all of your dust. And immediately the gopis, they dug the earth and then gave lot of dust to Narada Muni. Narada Muni asked, are you not aware that if you give dust to Krishna, because he is the Supreme Lord, you will go to hell for the rest of eternity? The gopis replied, if we can relieve Krishna's headache for a moment, we don't mind going to hell for the rest of eternity for that sake. And this is what is called as a PhD level of religion. In LKG level of religion, a person comes to worship God, a person starts worshipping God out of fear of going to hell. In PhD level of religion, a person worships God even if he knows that the reward for worshipping God, reward for serving God is to go to hell for the rest of eternity. So a person does not mind the reward of going to hell for the rest of eternity, provided he gets an opportunity to serve Krishna. And this is the PhD level of religion, and this was exhibited by the gopis and Srimati Radharani in particular. So I'll stop here. So in one sense, if we see the concept of Sahajiyaism, it is present only in the Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It is not there in the other Vaishnava Sampradayas. You don't find Sahajiyas and other Vaishnava Sampradayas, because when very high philosophy is given, there is always a risk that it may be taken cheaply. So therefore, to dress like the gopis is very easy, but actually practicing the mood is actually very difficult. So some random points which I actually thought of. So today what we discussed about the three energies, Andini, Ladini, Samvit and Sandini. And then we discussed this verse from the Gautamiya Tantra, Devi Krishnamayi Prokta Radhika Paradevata. And we discussed this quality of Krishnamayi, seeing Krishna everywhere. And how this quality of Srimati Radharani is present in the various devotees in the Bhagavatam. We saw several instances. Although technically speaking, Bhagavatam, Radharani is present only indirectly. But we can see wherever this quality of Krishnamayi is there, there is the presence of Srimati Radharani, because the origin of the quality is the quality of Srimati. The origin of quality is Srimati Radharani. And then discussed other points in relation to Sahajaism, LKG level of religion, PhD level of religion, and the nature of Hladini potency to give pleasure to Krishna and also to nourish the devotees. And the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, how it also refers to Radha Krishna. So even in the first verse, Radha Krishna are there. So Hare Krishna. Anybody wants to share anything? Wants to ask something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Prabhuji, you spoke about Srila Prabhupada's compassion as, that how he fanned the spiritual spark and, seeing the essence and not distributing the knowledge also you spoke about. So is this the challenge which ISKCON is facing? Like, because we are not seeing the essence or is this the challenge which we are facing right now about not distributing enough knowledge?
Yeah, definitely. The sense, uh, more than seeing from the point of view ISKCON as an organization, we have to see on individuals actually. Every individual has to see, am I actually trying to help others? Or am I facilitating, trying to help others? It could be somebody directly preaching to others, or it could be helping the preaching efforts of others. So the distribution of knowledge, we can't. So ISKCON as an organization, more than the organization, we have to see on an individual level. Actually, definitely there is a phases of a complacency. Sometimes we just want to be satisfied with our chanting or with our caring chanting. We may not want to go out to help others. So that complacency is that's a valid point. And what's the other point is that you are trying to see the essence. Yeah, this is also a very important thing, because many times some conflicts happen. One of the root cause of the conflict is that we tend to focus on the negativity, and because of that, many times conflicts and very petty issues can happen. Within ISKCON, outside ISKCON, within ISKCON also. The root cause is not seeing the essence.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Prabhuji.
Dandavat Mataji.
Prabhuji, in this thing, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given the highest level of Krishna consciousness, that's the Krishna prem, and that is about Radharani and the gopis, the love for Krishna, and the highest knowledge he has given. But in South India, they don't worship Radharani at all, and there are so many great devotees who are worshipping Krishna, who are devotees of Krishna, and but one should have, it is said one should know about Radharani, have the knowledge and have the mercy of Radharani. So how they will Ramanujacharya also, he has never expressed anything about Radharani books and all. So how the following
yeah, each Vaishnava Sampradaya, say Ramanuja Sampradaya or Madhva Sampradaya, so when they are following the teachings of their Sampradaya properly, they will make progress. They will make progress in their own whatever path to Vaikuntha Bhakti. They will make their progress. Because when we talk about Srimati Radharani, the Vasudev Ghosh Bhajan, Yadi Gaurna Hoito, Kabeki Hoito, Kemone Darita De. If Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has not, Gaurang Mahaprabhu has not appeared, how would who would have known about the glories of Srimati Radharani? So Mahaprabhu, in one sense, because there are other Vaishnavas, they are all Vaishnavas, we have to respect them. But when they, because when they don't come in contact with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or his followers, then they may not be aware of they will naturally not be aware of the glories of Srimati Radharani. So, and when we actually interact with them, even when interacting with them, we have to appreciate them for whatever they are practicing. That's why Radharani's vision means seeing the spark everywhere and encouraging that spark and respecting, fanning that spark. So when we meet other, whether Pushti Margis or Sri Sampradaya or Madhva Sampradaya, so we try to focus on their good things which they are practicing, and then try to appreciate and encourage them. And also when we present them the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when we present them the process given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when they start following, and then slowly they will also actually come to appreciate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they will come to appreciate the position of Srimati Radharani. So it has to be done in a encouraging manner while appreciating whatever they are doing. Sometimes some ISKCON devotees, they have gone to say the members of other sampradaya, and they have spoken in a more challenging mode. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked this question to Venkata Bhatta after spending several months with Venkata Bhatta, and in a very joking, friendly conversation, why Lakshmi Devi was not allowed entrance in Rasa Leela. But sometimes certain devotees, they have actually challenged other Vaishnavas, and they have actually messed up the things. So we have to, when we are interacting with them, we appreciate them for whatever they are practicing. And then we also present Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings and his process. Does it answer your question? All right.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Okay, I think 8:56. So we'll stop here. Thank you for your patient hearing. So next week we'll continue. So I'm thinking there's a thought actually. I'm thinking 1 week I will continue Bhagavatam, and the alternate week, the other week, I will take some episode from Mahabharata, and then we can learn some interesting things which will be more related to the life. So in that way, alternate with Bhagavatam, alternate with Mahabharata. I'm thinking like that. So let me see how the next week, how it will proceed. So next week we will have the regular class.
Prabhuji, that will be in the morning time, 11:30 morning, or this time?
No, this the Sion program, evening 7:30, Tuesday.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. Thank you. Dandavat Pranam.
Please send the recording, Prabhu. I joined late. If
Yeah,
someone send the recording.
I'll send.
Thank you, Prabhu.
ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रीमती राधा रानी की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. हरे कृष्ण.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, I'm in USA. I'm so far off. It's such a pleasure to just see you and to hear your voice. You can't imagine. You just can't imagine.
Thank you.
You just can't imagine. I just feel I'm back in India.
Oh, okay.
And I'm working over here, and it's
Achha.
I'm on my desktop. It's 8:30 in the morning over here, and I'm doing a remote job.
Okay.
And so just about 8 o'clock I start, but before that I was hearing everything with concentration. Now I'm like multitasking and hearing, but still you just can't even, just looking at you and just hearing your voice is enough for me. Even if I don't pay attention to the word, just hearing your voice is enough.
Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Dandavat Pranam. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.